Ty Tucker was messing up today, y'all. I'm not a lawyer, but let me tell you about day 3 of Franklin Ty Tucker representing himself in this murder trial. First of all, he was late.
Mr. Tucker, you're 3 minutes late. What's going on?
Your Honor, I actually did call the court. I was at the hospital with Miss Bellamont. I filed an emergency motion because her situation has apparently gotten critical. She may not be here till Thursday. I'll be here on Thursday or Friday when she would be potentially testifying.
Ty says Paula's health has turned critical and she may not be alive by the end of this week. So he's filed an emergency motion requesting to interrupt the state's presentation of their case to allow Paula to testify today. But the judge said, we're not talking about that right now.
I'm not going to address that right now. We'll get to it. Right now I'm going to address what I said I was, and that is the discovery or the impeachment material.
Ty says he isn't done with Deputy Malone. There's an internal affairs interview that was done with Deputy Malone in regards to this case, and he wants to use parts of it to impeach or discredit her. The problem is he doesn't know what parts he wants to use of the 2-hour interview. He just knows he wants to use it.
Well, it's most extraordinary that someone would think that out of a couple hour or however long it is tape that it would be virtually all potential impeachment. Attorneys are expected to be able to provide the opposite side with a specific notice as possible of what they intend to use or believe as impeachment.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes, sir.
While I am not an attorney, and we've all made that clear.
I'm not a lawyer, but.
The thing is, okay, they give it to me the same way. They give it to me in bulk, and I have to go through it and decide what I think they're going to use.
No, sir. Have you ever seen a prosecutor in 27 plus years of doing this that, doesn't have a very clear idea and presents it clearly? Yeah.
And then Ty brings Paula testifying back up, and he got in trouble.
Well, Your Honor, if I might, I'm definitely willing to do that. I'd still like to address the other issue.
I'm not going to address it. I will address it when I'm ready to address it. Mr. Tucker, you're starting to stray from the basic parameters here. I set this session for this issue, and that's what I'm going to deal. You don't need to placate me. Just do the business. I'm tired of all the extra fluff. Do what you claim you're going to do. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to. So again, if an attorney did this, it wouldn't even be close that I wouldn't have put up with it. I'm bending over backwards to try to facilitate you who doesn't really know what you're doing, and that's not a surprise, but you have the right to represent yourself, but you don't have a right to delay things or to attempt to, you can attempt to, but to admit things that aren't admissible. So in any event, this gentleman now needs one more time some assistance in operating the equipment. So could you give him a hand, please?
And then the judge rules on Paula.
All right, so here's what. I'm not going to force the state to, have a adverse witness called out of order when we have a deposition to preserve. My discretion at that particular point would be to say if she's unable to testify by Zoom, then she can be heard when it's the defense's turn with the deposition to preserve.
So the judge rules, should Paula not be available to testify when it's her time, then they will resort to using her deposition, which has already been recorded anyway. Now, all of that was done when the jury was not in the courtroom. So they're finally called into the courtroom and Deputy Malone is called back to the stand. Ty continues his cross-examination of her and highlights that Paula's backpack was found at a house that John Travis Johnson, the getaway driver, was working at. Deputy Malone retrieved the backpack, but instead of taking it to where evidence is supposed to go, she kept it in her possession.
Where did you take it?
I probably took it to the Special Operations building in Marathon where Major Crimes main office was.
And immediately afterwards, or was that longer?
It was secured in my possession the entire time.
Secured in your possession?
Yes, sir.
Is that against MCSO policy?
It is against their standard practices, yes.
Were you ever reprimanded for this specific piece of evidence for mishandling it?
Yes.
There was also some drug paraphernalia that was confiscated as evidence, but Deputy Malone didn't immediately take that where it was supposed to go either.
So what did you do with the drug paraphernalia once you took that into possession?
Placed it into our property division for destruction.
Now, when you did that, was there any time lapse there? I mean, did you take it right there, or was it, again, in your possession for longer?
It was in my possession for
Okay.
a day or so before it got placed into the evidence locker.
Okay, and were you ever reprimanded for that?
Yes.
So the state gets up to do some redirect and asks Deputy Malone about some of the things that Ty has asked her about.
And I think he referred to Ms. Clay as a suspect, a murder suspect. Was she, during the course of your investigation, did she ever rise to the level of a murder suspect?
No, sir.
And would that be because perhaps she didn't have enough corroborating evidence?
Yes, sir.
Did you eventually or partake in a conversation or a debriefing with defendant Travis Johnson in this case?
Yes.
Did he corroborate your investigation in this case?
Absolutely.
Your transfer. That transfer was not a demotion, correct?
Correct.
That transfer was not because you were reprimanded in any shape, fashion, or form, correct?
Correct. I did not request the leaving of major crimes, but I did request the leaving of law enforcement.
And that was it. The state didn't have any other witnesses lined up for today, so court was cut short and will resume tomorrow. Listen, I thought this was going to be a short case. The state intends to call John Travis Johnson, the getaway driver, to the stand, and hopefully Paula makes it to testify whenever Ty calls her up. We'll see.